Night draped the world in a velvet hush, as though the heavens themselves were holding their breath. Across the silent city, the moon spilled silver over rooftops like a painter brushing secrets onto a dark canvas. And beneath that trembling light, something ancient stirred. A single ripple, soft, unseen, moved through the air, bending shadows, bending time. Street lamps flickered like nervous candle flames, sensing a presence older than memory, a whisper carved from the very bones of creation. Then, a heartbeat. Slow, deep. It rolled through the night like thunder wrapped in silk. From the corner of a forgotten street, a lone figure stepped into the shimmering glow. Ordinary eyes once, yet now they glimmered with a quiet storm, reflecting worlds that did not belong to this earth. Worlds only dreamt of by poets and feared by kings. The wind curled around them, gentle, reverent, as if nature itself recognized the return of a power it had once bowed to, a power that had slept for centuries within the silence of human blood. Tonight, it awakened, and the universe tilted ever so slightly to make room for the impossible. The night's hush deepened as the figure stepped forward. A young man named Aydin, a name forgotten by the world but remembered suddenly by destiny. He walked as though the ground beneath him hummed with hidden messages, as though each stone whispered something ancient to him, something only his soul heard. Aydin had always felt strange tremors in his life, moments where the air thickened, where time slowed like syrup against the sky, where his heartbeat echoed louder than the world around him. But tonight that heartbeat was not alone. It throbbed with the heartbeat of the universe. The wind curled around his coat, pulling it like a living creature, guiding him toward the old, abandoned railway station at the edge of the city. A place swallowed by ivy, dust, and time. A place the city had grown afraid to speak of. He did not choose this place. The place chose him. As he stepped inside, moonlight spilled through the shattered roof like liquid silver, illuminating the ghosts of forgotten trains and rusted rails that once carried lives toward unknown horizons. And there, in the center of the silent ruin, stood something impossible. A circle, not made of metal nor stone but of light, thin, trembling threads of gold floating in midair, spinning slowly, gracefully, as if the universe had left a doorway half open. Aydin's breath caught, his chest rising like a tide. The circle pulsed once, then again, as though it recognized him. He stepped closer, his footsteps soft on the cracked floor, and with each step the air thickened with the scent of storms, ozone, rain, electricity waiting to be born. Then a whisper, soft, invisible, yet unmistakable. "You hear us at last." Aydin froze. The light circle quivered, like a harp string plucked by an unseen hand. "Who's there?" he whispered. The voice came from everywhere, from the iron beams above, from the dust, from the shadows. Not who, what. "We are the remnants of a power older than memory. We have watched you. We have waited. And tonight, Aydin, your blood remembers us." Aydin's heartbeat thundered in his ears, not in fear but in recognition, like a dream finally waking. The circle of light expanded, stretching into a vast spinning halo, its edges trailing sparks that fell like glowing petals onto the floor. Time itself seemed to bend around it. The dust paused midair, the shadows stopped shifting, the world held still. Odin reached out his hand, just a breath away, just a fingertip, and the voice whispered, gentle yet immense, "Touch us and claim what was always yours, the power to rewrite the silence of creation." His fingers brushed the light, and the world exploded, not in noise, but in vision. Aydin's mind flooded with 1,000 images, cities reversed in time, oceans turning to glass, mountains rising from the earth like giants awakening, and above it all, threads of golden light weaving reality like a tapestry. He fell to his knees, trembling, gasping, but the light wrapped around him, lifting him as though gravity had forgotten its duty. His hair floated upward, his eyes glowed with swirling constellations, his veins shimmered like rivers of dawn. And the voice whispered, almost tender, "You are the echo-bearer, the one who hears the universe breathe, and now you carry its power." The halo dimmed, the visions faded. The station was quiet again. Aydin stood alone in the silver moonlight, but nothing about him was ordinary anymore. The universe now pulsed beneath his skin, and from the darkness of the ruined station, something else watched. Silent, waiting, aware that a forbidden power had awakened, a power that would not be allowed to exist. Night held its breath. Aydin felt it, not in the forest, not in the air, but deep within him, a resonance older than thought, a heartbeat echoing across unseen dimensions. Through the golden pulse of his awakening, his vision shifted. A glimpse beyond his world, a fleeting window into a reality woven from threads of fate, memory, and creation itself. In that vision, the ancient amphitheater of time unfurled, vast and trembling. Pillars carved from eternity rose like silent titans, their marble surfaces scarred with the faint glow of gods long fallen. Shadows of forgotten centuries clung to the arches, moving as if alive, whispering secrets only the universe could remember. A figure cloaked in obsidian emerged from the darkness, not stepping but rising, commanding the very air, Hades. His cloak trailed like a storm given shape, each footfall an echo of countless ages. Though not of Aydin's world, he was aware, a cosmic witness to the awakening stirring in the boy's chest. And in the center of that trembling vision, a flicker of gold appeared, a silhouette radiant with light that bent reality itself. Persephone, not fully formed, not yet walking the earth, but a presence woven from threads of destiny and promise, her outline kissed by cosmic radiance. Hades reached toward her, fingertips brushing the golden spark, and the air shivered with electric anticipation. The Moirae, the unseen fates, watched from their hidden balcony, weaving, unweaving, and reweaving the tapestry of what must be. Their fingers trembled with the weight of futures yet to unfold. For a brief heartbeat, light and shadow intertwined. The vision flared like a star breaking, spilling molten gold across the unseen cosmos, echoing the heartbeat now thrumming in Aydin's chest. And then, with a sigh older than time, the vision folded into nothingness, leaving only a single spark of gold resting in the air, flickering like a captured sunrise. Aydin exhaled sharply. The forest around him was quiet, the birds hesitant, the wind holding its breath. Yet the golden spark lingered in his chest, resonating with the ancient heartbeat of the universe itself. He realized in that suspended moment that the vision had not been random. It had been a message, a warning, a foreshadowing. The universe whispered through the vision. The one who carries the lost ember awakens. Watch, wait, destiny stirs. And in that instant, Aydin understood he was no longer alone. Forces older than creation were aware, observing, testing the heartbeat he now carried. His journey had become part of a story far larger than his village, far older than the stars, and far beyond any dawn he had ever witnessed. The night did not simply fall. It sank, like a great black tide folding over the village, a velvet hush stretching across rooftops, trees, and the sleeping breaths of strangers. But in Aydin's mind, night was no longer darkness. It was a listening ear, a vast one, a living one, a presence older than any star that had ever dared to shine. He sat on the rooftop of his house, the old tiles warm beneath him, the echo of his newly awakened power humming inside his ribs like a caged sun. The wind should have been cold tonight, yet it curled around him like a loyal creature, spiraling in gentle arcs, awaiting its master's intent. His heart thudded once, and the lanterns in the street below flickered as if bowing. He exhaled, and the mist above the fields parted as though the sky itself moved out of his way. Then, a sound. No, a whisper. Soft, yet so powerful the stars seemed to lean in, like diamonds hanging from threads of trembling light. Aydin. It was neither male nor female, neither old nor young. It was a voice shaped from the breath of forgotten galaxies, from ruins buried beneath centuries, from nights that remembered more than days ever could. Aydin's skin tingled. The air around him folded and unfolded, like a book flipping its pages on its own. Who are you?" His voice cracked softly, shaking like a candle flame touched by an unseen hand. The whisper did not answer. Instead, the stars pulsed. One by one, those distant fires blinked in impossible unison, as though signaling, calling, pleading. Then a single streak of white light tore across the sky. Not a shooting star, but something older, more ancient, more purposeful. It stopped above him, hung there, shimmering like the last breath of an immortal being, and from its glow a shape lowered, slowly, weightlessly, descending as if the universe itself were holding its breath. It was a figure of light, tall, graceful, robed in drifting strands of silver brilliance, as if woven from moonlight and the remains of shattered constellations. Its face was not a face, but a shifting veil of galaxies, as if the heavens were speaking through a mask of stardust. "Aydin," the voice echoed again, this time from everywhere, from the rooftop tiles, from the trembling wind, from the very space between his heartbeats. "You have awakened what should not have been awakened." Aydin swallowed hard. His palms glowed faintly, rings of golden light circling his fingers like halos searching for a home. What do you mean?" he whispered. The figure leaned closer, its presence bending the air, warping the darkness, making the world feel suddenly too small to contain the moment. "You carry a power born before time had memory," the voice murmured, now deeper, like thunder hiding inside velvet. "It is beautiful and dangerous." Aydin's breath shook. The wind wrapped around him protectively, as if ready to fight the stars themselves for him. "What am I supposed to do?" he asked. The figure of light flickered, the galaxies in its veil swirling in slow, sorrowful patterns. "You must learn why the power chose you." A pause, a long, trembling pause, and why something older than creation itself has begun to wake. With that, the figure dissolved, breaking into 1,000 ribbons of silver, each one drifting upward like wounded fragments of a dream. The whisper faded, the stars steadied. The night returned to being only night, but Aydin's world had already changed. And somewhere deep in the unseen depths of the cosmos, something ancient opened an eye. Dawn tried to rise over the village, but it rose hesitantly, as though the sun itself feared what the night had whispered. The horizon glowed weakly, a thin ribbon of pale gold struggling to cut through the remnants of last night's trembling darkness. Aydin walked toward the old forest behind his home, the place where childhood dreams once hid and childhood fears once grew claws. But today, the forest felt different, alive, watching, listening with 1,000 unseen ears. The trees seemed taller, their bark grooved like ancient runes, their branches bent inward as though forming a cathedral, built not for worship, but for warning. The ground beneath his steps pulsed faintly, as if the earth remembered him, as if it recognized the power humming quietly in his blood. Aydin raised his hand, and golden ripples shimmered across his skin, soft and warm, like a sunbeam trying to speak. Why me? The silent question throbbed in his mind. The forest answered with silence, a thick velvet silence that swirled around him like mist woven from forgotten prayers. Then, a sound that didn't belong to any creature of the morning. A breath, a slow, dragging breath. The kind that sounded like it had traveled across centuries just to be heard at this single moment. Aydin froze. The light in his palm dimmed. A shadow shifted between two massive trees. But this was no ordinary shadow. It had weight, shape, intention. It spilled forward like ink poured into reality, changing the color of the light around it, turning the green of the forest into shades of silent dread. Aydin took a step back, but the shadow followed, its outline trembling like smoke trapped in a slow-motion storm. Then it spoke. Aydin. His heart jolted violently. The voice was not the same celestial whisper from last night. This voice was heavier, made from the growl of collapsing mountains, from the sighs of dying stars. It was the sound of something ancient and wounded and furious. "I have waited," the shadow rasped, each word dragging across the air like claws on stone. "For the one who carries the lost light." Aydin's pulse thundered. The golden glow in his hands tried to rise, but it faltered, as though intimidated by the darkness standing before him. "Who are you?" Aydin whispered. The shadow leaned forward, and the very bark of the trees behind it began to darken, curling inward as if recoiling from its presence. "I am the remnant," it replied, "a memory of a war older than creation, a wound carved into the very bones of existence." A chill rippled through the forest, leaves trembling, air thinning, the world itself holding its breath. Aydin swallowed. "What do you want from me?" The shadow expanded, its form stretching upward like a tower of mourning, tall enough to brush the lower branches, broad enough to block the newborn sunlight. It lifted what might have been a hand, a mass of swirling darkness shaped into fingers, and pointed at Aydin's chest. "You," it said, "and the power you do not yet understand." Aydin's heartbeat stuttered. The wind rushed in behind him, whirling around his body like a shield, defiant and protective. But the shadow only laughed, a low, echoing laugh that sounded like stones cracking under unbearable weight. "We are not enemies yet," it crooned, "not until you choose." Aydin stepped forward despite his fear. Choose what? The forest dimmed. The sunlight died in midair as though swallowed by an unseen mouth. And the shadow answered, "Whether you will become the one who ends the ancient darkness, or the one who resurrects it." Then, with a ripple of impossible silence, the shadow dissolved into the earth, leaving nothing behind but the echo of a destiny too large for any dawn to hold. Aydin stood alone, but the world no longer felt alone with him. Something vast was moving, something old, something waiting. And somewhere far beyond the edges of the visible sky, a second eye opened, but this one did not belong to the darkness. The shadow's last echo had barely faded when the forest awakened, not with sound, but with awareness. The leaves shimmered softly, as though gossiping among themselves about the destiny that had stepped into their roots. The wind swirled in uneasy circles, no longer playful, but protective, warily scanning the unseen edges of the dawn. Aydin's breath clouded in the cool air, though the morning should have been warm. Something inside him, a quiet ember, burned with a new, uneasy rhythm. He felt it behind his ribs, like a secret sun unsure of its own brightness. He closed his eyes, and in the darkness of his own mind, he saw it, a flickering sphere of golden fire, small as a heartbeat, yet vibrating with the memory of worlds that had died and worlds that had never been born. "What are you?" he whispered inwardly. But the ember did not answer. It only pulsed, once, twice, and with each pulse the world around him seemed to realign. A distant twig snapped. A ripple traveled across the ground. The wind stiffened. "Aydin!" The voice was human, real, familiar, breathless. He opened his eyes to see Lyra, his childhood friend, running toward him between the giant trees, her hair catching the early light, her steps as frantic as a heartbeat escaping fate. She stumbled to a stop in front of him, panting, eyes wide with fear. "Aydin, the village. Something is wrong." His chest tightened. "What happened?" She shook her head, but her voice trembled like a frightened flame. "The animals are restless. The wells froze solid in seconds. And the elders, they said the air felt like it did the night your power awakened." Aydin felt the forest shift around him, branches tightening overhead, roots curling beneath the soil like a giant creature stirring uneasily. Lyra stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Aydin, they think something is coming." He inhaled slowly, and for a moment the golden glow in his chest flared so brightly that he thought Lyra might see it through his skin. She noticed his expression harden. "Aydin, you know something, don't you?" He hesitated. How could he explain? How could he tell her about the celestial whisper, the figure of light, the shadow that spoke of war and old wounds in the fabric of creation? How could he tell her? He was no longer just Aydin, the boy who climbed rooftops for stargazing, the boy who dreamed of nothing more than the quiet peace of ordinary days. The ember inside him pulsed again. As if urging him, he opened his mouth. But the forest answered for him. A sudden gust of icy wind exploded from the depths of the trees, howling like a wolf made of winter and regret. Leaves spiraled violently, branches bent backward, and the ground split in thin, trembling lines. Lyra clutched his arm. "Aydin!" He stepped in front of her instinctively, palm raised, and the golden light poured out of him, gentle at first, like a candle blooming in the heart of a storm, then stronger, brighter, until the wind recoiled, slamming back into the forest as though struck by an invisible shield. The light curled around Aydin's fingers, golden ribbons twisting and tightening like they were learning the shape of his will. Lyra stared at him in silent awe and fear. "Aydin, what are you becoming?" He didn't know. But somewhere deep in the forest, beneath roots that tasted time and stones that remembered the beginning, a voice whispered, this time not to Aydin, but about him. "The light awakens, and with it the ancient debt." The world shivered. And far above the clouds, hidden in the folds of an unseen dimension, a figure watched Aydin with eyes older than fate itself. Not the shadow, not the light being, something else. Something that had been waiting long before Aydin's first breath. The wind stilled. The leaves stopped their trembling. Even the morning birds, restless just moments ago, fell silent, as though the world knew it was standing on the edge of something ancient and profound. Aydin exhaled slowly, the last thread of golden light fading from his fingers, warm as goodbye. Lyra clung to his arm, her eyes wide, her breath shivering in the cold air that should not have existed. "Aydin, she whispered. "This isn't normal. This isn't just some gift. This is something bigger, isn't it?" He stared at his hands, still tingling with the afterglow of that impossible power. And the forest reflected in his eyes looked like another world entirely. "I don't know what I am," he confessed softly, "but I think something knows me." Before Lyra could respond, the forest shifted again. Not with wind, but with a memory. A strange, quiet ripple spreading through the trees like a story being retold by nature itself. The light dimmed, the shadows lengthened, and then a hum began. Low, distant, vibrating through the soil like a heartbeat carried upward from the center of the earth. Aydin felt it echo inside his chest, as though his own heart were answering a call older than breath. Lyra stepped back, frightened. "What is that?" Aydin didn't answer. He couldn't, because the hum became a song. A sorrowful, trembling melody woven from the voices of storms, the sighs of dying stars, and the cries of something that once had wings made of fire. It was not of this forest, not of this world. It was a memory from before the first dawn. The trees bent inward, their branches forming arches above Aydin and Lyra, like witnesses gathering in awe for a truth finally returning to light. Suddenly, the earth split open before them in a flash of pale fire. A crack, thin as a hairline fracture, yet glowing with a color no human had ever seen. A color that felt like an emotion more than a shade. Aydin staggered back, shielding Lyra with his arm. From the crack, a faint silhouette rose. Not a body, but a memory given shape. A figure carved from shimmering dust, its outline flickering with ancient energy, as if it were made from the leftover light of a universe that had already died once. The figure lifted its head, and though it had no face, Aydin felt its gaze pierce through him like a prophecy looking for its chosen moment. Lyra tightened her grip on him. "Aydin, let's go, please, this isn't safe." But the figure raised its hand, a fractal of glowing particles swirling gently, and the world around them froze. Not stopped, froze. Leaves suspended in air, caught mid-fall. Birds halted mid-wing beat. The wind itself lingered like a painting no longer sure how to move. Only Aydin and Lyra could breathe. The figure spoke, its voice layered, resonant, as if 1,000 forgotten ages were speaking in unison. "Aydin, bearer of the lost ember, do you hear it?" He swallowed. "The hum? The song?" The figure nodded slowly, its form rippling like a reflection in the trembling water. "It is the echo of the first dawn, the moment creation split from darkness. A moment sealed, hidden, silenced, until now." Aydin's pulse hammered. "Why me? Why is it calling me?" The figure extended a hand, and from the crack in the earth, a swirling vision erupted. A burning sky, mountains collapsing into oceans, light clashing against a monstrous shadow with wings that swallowed stars. A dying world screaming for rebirth. And at the center of it all, a bright golden heart of power falling like a broken sun into the cradle of a new universe. When the vision faded, the figure whispered a truth that made the air around them tremble. "You carry that heart, Aydin. You carry the echo of the first light, and the last hope against the returning darkness." The forest shuddered violently, as if rejecting fate itself. The suspended leaves crashed down. Time gasped, moving again. The figure dissolved into fragments of memory that drifted upward like lost wishes. Aydin staggered back, barely breathing. Lyra caught him, her voice breaking. "Aydin, what's happening to you?" He looked toward the forest ahead, where the shadows thickened, where the hum still pulsed beneath the earth, where destiny waited like a silent storm. And quietly, as if confessing to the sky itself, he whispered, "Something older than creation is waking." The forest trembled, not from wind nor from earth, but from the weight of something unseen, something older than thought, older than fear, stirring in the shadows beyond time. Aydin stood at the edge of the clearing, palms glowing faintly with that golden ember that had first awakened in the abandoned station. Each pulse of light echoed in his chest, like the heartbeat of the universe itself. Lyra's hand gripped his, a fragile anchor in a world suddenly unbound. Don't lose yourself," she whispered, but even her words trembled under the pressure of the unseen. Then the sky shifted. A faint shimmer of violet and gold bled across the horizon, twisting as though the very fabric of reality was stretching, bending, remembering. From the forest depths, a figure emerged, not walking, but rising. Its body was black as obsidian, yet not solid, as if shadows had been woven into a moving cloak. Its eyes were pale fire, piercing the darkness like twin moons of judgment. "You awaken the lost light," it said, voice like breaking stone. "Do you understand what you carry, Aydin?" Aydin's chest tightened. I don't know. I only know it calls me." The figure's shadow stretched, curling like smoke over the trees, absorbing every shard of dawn into itself. "You are the echo bearer," it hissed, and with every heartbeat the balance tilts, light against shadow, creation against oblivion. You cannot hide from what you are. The golden ember in Aydin's chest flared suddenly, bursting outward in tendrils of shimmering gold, twisting around his arms, around his legs, around his very being. It was a light not born of sun nor of fire, but of time itself, breathing. The figure roared, a sound that bent the air, broke the earth, a hunger that tasted like centuries of forgotten war. Aydin closed his eyes. The ember responded, growing, pulsing, filling every cell in his body with memories not his own. The first dawn, the stars forming. The universe's first heartbeat echoing in the void. Then he stepped forward, not with fear, but with certainty. Golden light spiraled outward, bending shadows, twisting them, melting them into ribbons of nothingness. The figure faltered, its obsidian form cracking, revealing a swirl of void and silence beneath. You are not mortal," it whispered. "You carry something forbidden, something ancient." "I am not alone," Aydin said. "Lyra is here. The forest is here. The universe itself calls me forward." Light flared again, blinding, golden, unstoppable. It painted the clearing in liquid fire, each leaf, each stone, each breath of wind dancing in its radiant glow. The shadows screamed, but the sound was weak now, as though reality itself had turned its back on it. And then, the ember in Aydin's chest exploded in a final heartbeat. Golden tendrils shot into the sky, piercing clouds, splitting the air, weaving a bridge of light into the heavens. The figure dissolved. The forest sighed, time exhaled. Aydin fell to his knees, hands trembling, body shaking, but inside him, the universe now pulsed gently, steady, alive, and aware. Lyra knelt beside him, her fingers brushing his cheek. "Is it over?" she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Over? No, it's only begun, but now, we are ready." Above them, the sky opened, gold and violet bleeding together, as though the first dawn itself had returned to witness the birth of something new. The echo bearer, the boy who carried the heartbeat of the universe. And somewhere beyond the stars, beyond shadows, beyond time, something ancient watched silently, its gaze shifting, its patience unbroken. Aydin breathed and with his first steady exhale the world trembled, not in fear, but in expectation. The world held its breath. The air shimmered, trembling with a resonance no human ear could hear. Mountains far beyond the village quivered like great beasts waking from slumber, and rivers paused mid-flow, reflecting the golden pulse of a heart that belonged not only to Aydin, but to the very universe itself. Aydin stood at the forest's edge, his golden light a halo against the dim, trembling dawn. Lyra's hand rested lightly on his arm, her presence grounding him in a reality that now felt fragile, as if it could shatter under the weight of what was to come. From the skies, threads of violet and gold descended, spinning slowly like the loom of fate itself. Each thread carried whispers of long-forgotten powers, shadows of gods, and echoes of creation's first cry. Aydin raised his hands. The golden light flared, spiraling upward, spreading like a river of molten stars. It twisted and arced, painting the sky with impossible shapes, casting silhouettes across the world that moved like living beings. And then, the voice of the unseen called out. It was everywhere. In the wind, in the trembling trees, in the stars themselves. "You are the bridge, echo-bearer," it said. "You are the heartbeat of dawn and dusk. Through you, the balance will either hold or shatter forever." Aydin's eyes glowed. He could feel the pulse of countless lives coursing through him, their hopes, their fears, their dreams weaving together into a tapestry of light that was both fragile and infinite. "Then I choose," he whispered. His voice rang through the air like a bell struck in the stillness. "I choose to protect, I choose to awaken what must be remembered, and I will face whatever comes." The golden light erupted in a final, blinding crescendo, spilling across the land, across the mountains, across the oceans, reaching into shadows that had slept for eons. They writhed and twisted, unable to resist the awakening force of pure, conscious light. From the shadows, a whisper of awe. Impossible, yet inevitable. The forest itself exhaled. Birds took flight in slow arcs, their wings painting golden trails across the sky. The rivers flowed again, singing a melody older than any human tongue. Even the stars seemed to bend downward, peering closer to witness the boy who carried the echo of the first dawn. Lyra held Aydin's hand tighter. "Is it over?" she asked. He looked at her, the golden light reflecting in both their eyes. "For now," he said. "But the universe will always test us, and we are ready." Above them, the sky blazed, a living canvas of light and shadow intertwined, and somewhere in the infinite distance an ancient presence stirred, curious, patient and unbroken, aware that the echo-bearer had awakened and that the story of the extraordinary had only just begun. Aydin breathed deeply. The world pulsed with life again, not ordinary life, but a life imbued with wonder, mystery, and infinite possibility. And in that breath, the first true dawn of something beyond the ordinary took hold. The forest sighed, the rivers sang a quiet hymn. Even the stars paused in their endless march, listening to a world forever changed. Aydin stood at the edge of dawn, the golden ember within him pulsing softly. No longer just a power, but a heartbeat of the universe itself. Lyra beside him, silent yet unshakably present, watched as the horizon glimmered with possibilities too vast to name. And somewhere beyond sight, beyond time, beyond shadow and light, ancient eyes opened. Not in anger, not in judgment, but in curiosity. For the echo-bearer had awakened, and with him a story that the universe had not dared to speak. A story that would ripple through stars, forests, and hearts, forever beyond the ordinary. Aydin breathed deeply. And in that single breath, he understood. The journey was only beginning. The sky shimmered, the wind carried whispers, and the world waited for the extraordinary to unfold. The echo-bearer has awakened, and the world will never be the same. Beyond light, beyond shadow, the extraordinary awaits. Step into it, subscribe, and witness the journey beyond the ordinary.